Hello everybody, here we are talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and what are some things that could get in their way of success for this upcoming season. So before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So Toronto's been a team that's been snakebit in recent years, and despite the fact they've been able to go to the playoffs in 8 seasons in a row, they've not been able to do a whole lot. And I know in recent years, I've kind of talked about, what if this is a year that Toronto ends up going and having a breakthrough season? But instead, for this video, I wanted to talk about what are some things that could cause some issues for them instead of breaking through, or maybe they're like, man, we're kind of in a hard spot right now. So let's get on into that. So the first one is a story that's been followed for a very, very long time. That is around Mitch Marner. Now, Marner is a longtime Leaf, but he's also somebody that looked like he was going to be on his way out as playoff tensions rose between him and his teammates. And in the first round, when they lost to the Boston Bruins, that appeared to be the straw that broke the camel's back. And now it seems like he could be playing with them, and they are trying to maybe work out an extension, but it just seems all very up in the air at the moment. And I truly do think that Toronto would be all right letting him play this rest of the season and not give him a deal and just see how things pin out. Because if things go well for this team during the regular season, just to fall in the playoffs yet again, they don't care. Unless Marner has a good playoff run, then they're going to be like, oh, maybe we could go out there and give him a deal and get an extension done, but they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And with how some of the cohesions worked in recent years, it's really about how they do come playoff time. So watching out for this storyline and seeing maybe who else could be interested in. There's some other teams that are younger, trying to get better, that have a lot more money to offer him, possibly with a lot more cap space. Maybe Toronto cuts their ties and say, we could address our roster a little bit differently with this money. This year is going to be a pivotal year for Marner and the team, especially, again, come crunch time. The second thing is, of course, they're going to be having a new head coach, and people could be ecstatic saying, Sheldon Keefe is gone. Of course, we are in a better spot now. We've got Craig Berube. He won a cup back in 2019 with the St. Louis Blues, a team that had never done it before, a team that needed a miracle run with him in charge to make it happen. We are on the path to success, the road to glory, if you will. But I do want to address the fact, I can't remember if it was an Athletic article, somebody wrote this article where it highlighted what other former Blues players said and said that Berube was more of a motivator, not really a true tactician, at least compared to some other coaches in the league. When he came in and was their head coach, he didn't change a whole lot and was, again, more somebody that brought the locker room together. And that's good. That's fine. That's what you need for Toronto. Because, again, I do think that they could use somebody that could get everybody together back in one group and say, guys, things haven't worked out for us. We've done some finger pointing, some blaming. We're passing around the blame, if you will, over all this. And we need to look in the mirror and say, it's not just one person. It's all of us need to be better. But at the same time, too, if they are a side that doesn't change a whole lot and they don't end up doing anything come playoff time, what does Craig Berube really bring to the table? Because he is there to try to get them through the playoffs. And yes, like we saw with Sheldon Keefe, Berube could have a great regular season only to fall come playoff time, which we talked about previously with Marner, some of these issues that have fallen on them before. Because the problem hasn't been getting to the playoffs, it's been getting deep into the postseason. And that is where you see Berube in charge of this team within the first year or two that I think is so critical. And I want to honestly see what happens if this team goes down 2-0 in a series. Is there more finger pointing? Is there more of, playing the blame game and all of this? Or do they circle together and say, guys, let's go out there and do something we haven't really done a whole lot of in recent years, and that is win in the playoffs. I don't know how exactly this will all play out, but we even saw last year where they fell down 3-1 to the Bruins and nearly rallied back to win. It doesn't necessarily impress me if they do lose in the first round, even after fighting back. It would more impress me about the power play not falling apart, them being able to get out to an early series lead and just, getting the job done early instead of having a collapse that they have to worry about, or being in game 6 or 7 in their building and their, media talking about how, once again, this team just isn't ready to get the job done, even though a lot of these guys are approaching their 30s. Another thing that I wanted to talk about here is the fact that their blue line being a little bit older could pose a problem for them, as 3 out of their top 4 guys are going to be 30 or older, and 2 out of their 3 are going to be 33 or older in this. And we're looking at guys like Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Chris Tanev. Tanev is the oldest of the bunch, I do believe, and was given a really long deal, which scares me a little bit. It's a 6-year deal, and this is a little bit concerning because of the fact that he's played about 800 games in the NHL. He's been somebody that has played a lot of minutes, has been a shot blocker that has been in and out of the lineup before with injuries, is missing a lot of teeth, but is also at the same time somebody that Toronto probably looks at and sees a guy that could be able to shut down top competition come playoff time. And I think that's why they went out there and got him. That's why they said, let's give him this 6-year deal, even if on the back end this doesn't necessarily look good. But if you look slow, especially in the first year, you're going to say, we should panic a little bit because now we've got him long term and might have to do a buyout of some sort or see exactly what can happen here. But I do think in the first year or two, especially, Tanev could be able to be a steadying presence for them in that top 4 role. As for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he's going to be 33 years old, coming off of a 32-point season where he helped the Florida Panthers go on to win a championship. Larsson got a 4-year deal, I think, with the Leafs and is going to be playing a role for them again, playing consistent minutes. But I think at this point you're going to be looking at him with different expectations than what you saw with him early on in his career. Is he going to be a guy that plays top pairing minutes for them? No, but he is going to be somebody that could be able to help them out come playoff time and help the blue line be more solidified and able to go on a deeper run thanks to having more depth. I don't know how this will all play out. I don't know if every single year he will be worth the money he's getting paid, but I do know they ended up giving these deals for a reason. But I also know, again, with them being older, are they going to be a step slower than some other teams come playoff time? Then the final thing that I wanted to talk about here that could pose a problem for Toronto is the fact that they play in a division that is not a cakewalk. The Atlantic is filled with teams that could pose problems for this side, as they have teams that have won the championships in recent years with Tampa Bay, and then of course recently with Florida. Toronto would be dreaming of a championship if they could get it this year, but also the Boston Bruins, a side that's been able to go to the Stanley Cup Final in 2019, a team that has been able to go and have multiple good years in a row, that is filled with plenty of names that could make an impact for them, as well as some other teams that are constantly trying to break through and make it to the playoffs and would do it in a heartbeat at the expense of the Maple Leafs. Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, all of these sides are looking to get through. And do I see Toronto being a side that probably is going to make it as top 3 within the division? Maybe, but if Tampa Bay looks better this year, maybe the Leafs fall to a wild card spot. And at that point, you would be a little bit concerned about them, with them getting a little bit older and with them not really doing a whole lot over the past decade in the playoffs. Then you start to say, well, if we're a wild card team and we're getting knocked out in the first round, what exactly are we doing to try to get things turned back around in our fortune, where we were once a side making a division title, winning a division title, or having a 115-point season? These are all valid questions to ask. So anyway, those are just a couple of thoughts that I have on the Leafs as to why this season could be a little bit of an issue for them. And I want to know your thoughts down below. Is Toronto going to be top 3 in their division? Are they going to win their division? Are they going to be a wild card team? Dare I say they miss the playoffs? If you think that, I really want to know why you think that. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody, please make sure to stay safe. Have a great night. And you love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.